And we are live. You know, the very first comment that I read here is by Crypto Caveman saying, Ernie, you demand. I have a lot of respect for you as a person, but man, your Bitcoin predictions are shit because you do not actively trade it. Stop giving advice on it. Well, that's not true. I do actively trade it. And in fact, I even talked about what I've been doing. So you haven't been listening, Caveman. Listening to you missed the biggest move of the year. Huh? Okay. So I've said all along that anything below 4,000 you'd be accumulating, lightly accumulating down to 1,000 and progressively making that accumulation bigger. We only get down to 3,000. I had a small amount in there. We brought it up. It came up. I sold around 7,400. How is that fucking misleading you? Because of me? Because I told you to do that? You didn't listen to me. Obviously. And I still maintain short every friggin' rally. Now, of course, again, you're not listening to me. Because my strategy on shorting rallies was to wait for a rally to complete, for it to round off before you short it. I don't know how much more clear I could have been. All right. Looks like the... where's my camera here? Where's the camera? Where's the camera? There's the camera right here. Hold your horses. No, that's not the camera. That's the camera. What's this one down here? All right, we'll use that. There we go. Get the green screen in place. Oh, we need to get rid of some of those green screen artifacts. Filters. Live color correction. Interesting. Maybe if we go a little closer like this. There we go. Gotta fix the gamma. There we are. Perfect. Live color correction as we speak. There are no limits. So, I take exception, Caveman. If you had listened to me, you would have made out. You would have made out very nicely. I talked about the toys that I bought with the profits that I made. I've also talked about the pattern that we were entering into, the bellyache pattern, when we dropped the day before it happened. And I said that there would be a secondary high, which we're experiencing right now. So, you, my man, I really appreciate the fact that you say that you respect me. But you obviously don't respect me enough to actually listen to what I say. Because I called every single fucking move! Holy crap. I'm very, very sorry that you missed this move. I didn't miss it. And I benefited from it. Was able to buy a bunch of toys. Had a good time. And that was that. So now we're left with this. All right. So anyways, this is the chat right here. Right there. And he's the very, very first comment. Alex says, explode and vanish in the space. Soon it'll moon eventually, but with no trace in planet Earth. I want to smoke what you're smoking. I have no idea what you're talking about. How you doing, Augustin? Matthias de Palma from Argentina. That's cool. It's time to short. That might be. Trojan Hell. Ernie, does gold history have anything in common with Bitcoin movement pattern? No, there is zero correlation. I've gone over this many, many times. There is no correlation with Bitcoin with any asset. Any asset. Not a single fucking asset is correlated with Bitcoin. Period. From a statistical point of view. Not even close. You might be able to draw some sort of amorphous conclusion or correlation using your eyes, but from a statistical point of view, there is less than a 0.1 correlation with Bitcoin and any other asset that is out there, including gold, as measured by the correlation coefficient. Is Bitcoin Ben strong? Who is Bitcoin Ben? Don't know who that is. Is Bitcoin gonna dump? All these questions! Teddy says, these things take time. There are a few whales that still need to exit, so expect a few more pump-ups in the sub-10K range. Just a thought. I don't know. I think that they're mostly fairly well coordinated, that they're doing things lockstep. Now, the biggest question I have is if this particular pump up here represents the secondary high on a bubble pattern. Now, technically, the answer is yes. But I look at it and it's very, very, very close. Excuse me one second. Yes, sir. How you doing? I'm doing pretty good. I am getting bashed by some Bitcoin maniacs saying that that they lost money because of me. Well, he says, because of you, I missed this big move up. And I said, what? What? Yes. However, the caveat to that was short every rally was do not short it until it rolls over. So that, all right. And on top of that, I said accumulate before under 4,000. Yeah. Yeah, you sound just like all these other guys now. Yeah. Yes. But I was too, under 4,000. Oh, I said from 4,000 to 1,000, I said take a progressive accumulation strategy. Now, I didn't accumulate very much because it never got down below 3,000. No, I didn't buy them because it didn't hit 3,000. That would have been an additional buy level for me, but it never hit it. So I was holding some Bitcoin and Litecoin at that point. Well, it's just that I'm doing a live show here right now, and my business partner is telling me that I am lying. No, just kidding. Yes. Yeah. Hold on. Let me get Skype up here. So Chuck wants to know, Ernie, are you shorting the Bitcoin fade? No, because I'm still evaluating whether or not this is a bubble pattern. All right, so I'm on Skype now. You can come on anytime you want. So we're going to get a guest. Thank you, Trader Glenn. Anyone who lost money in Bitcoin lost because they can't trade. People who blame others for their failures in trading can't trade, period. So true. Ernie, to make this a bona fide and discombobulated Bitcoin... Oh, there we go. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
So what I need to do, I think so. Speak.
Hello, testing, testing, testing.
Yes, you are coming through.
Okay, can the folks out there hear me?
Well, according to OBS here, every time you talk, the audio levels go up.
Okay, I don't.
That means that your voice is coming through.
Okay, well, I'm trying. I hope I'm not too loud here.
No, you're just right. How you doing?
No, good. Okay, so they're giving you a hard time. What's going on here?
No, it's just one guy giving me a hard time, and then you started like saying, well, to be fair, and I have, and then I wanted to take issue with that because I'll tell you what I've said all along. Yes, my stance has been short every rally, all right, but the caveat to that is you can't just short it when it starts rallying. You have to wait and see where's the top of that rally, right?
Well, yeah, but I think that this is one of the problems I see with prognosticating, especially on the internet. I mean, I don't listen to all your shows, to be honest, so I don't know what you've said or not said.
Right.
I know what I did.
Well, I'm telling you what I said, and I also gave you credit for saying buy at 31.50.
No, I understand that, but I appreciate that. But I'm saying that this is why I don't say anything in the middle. Okay, here's the deal: at 31.50, I thought it was a buy. That's all I knew.
Yep.
At 7,800, I thought it was a sell. That's all I know. I don't know about the middle. I don't know about trying to short, medium-term rallies or buy. I know none of that. I just know that 31.50 looks like a buy. 7,800 looks like a sell. Now, here's the thing. I told folks today in our service, I said, I have no comment on Bitcoin other than 8,800 and 9,800 look like shorting opportunities from here. I am out of the trade. 7,800, it dropped. I'm out. I'm not buying. I'm not selling. But if you give me 8,800, you give me 9,800, then I'll probably go short at those levels. But outside of that, I got nothing. So I think that one thing people may be confused about is that I think that you do a lot of nuanced discussion in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. And maybe they're not listening to everything you're saying.
Oh, I was bashing the hell out of Bitcoin and the technology and the growth of the ecosystem and the SEC and everything else and the pumpers and the whales and the sheep. I all of that. But that doesn't mean that I didn't hold Bitcoin.
Well, one thing that I ran into for years was, I would say, like, there's a guy who's a big Bitcoin, proponent or whatever you call him, and he claims that I called Bitcoin shitcoin and told people never to buy it. And that's just a blatant lie. I never said that. What I said was, Bitcoin is not money for the little guy. It doesn't solve our fiat money problems. It's totally controlled by bankers. It's the worst idea for money ever invented. It's one of the dumbest, most insane ideas for a monetary base of any sort. But I also said that people will always find a way to put Bitcoins in wallets, both real and virtual. And therefore, they're probably investing opportunities. But see, the Bitcoiner, they can't separate the philosophy with the practicality. So they're like, well, he said he thought Bitcoin was stupid. That's the same thing as saying you shouldn't invest in it.
Right. It's all black and white with them.
Right.
Either you're 100% with us or you're the devil incarnate.
By the way, someone said Tone Vase is debating Peter Schiff. Those are the two last people I would look to for Bitcoin. I would not be interested in. Although they keep saying they can't hear me very well, so I don't know what you're doing over there.
Oh, jeez.
How's this? Is this better? Can you hear me now? Is that?
Well, it goes up on the audio thing. Let me see if there's another way to capture.
Well, I mean, if this is working for him, I'll just get closer to the microphone.
Audio input capture.
Wonder what the latency is on this.
No, it could be that, I'm using OBS, so let's see if display audio. I guess I could get display audio.
And the
Okay, talk.
he's loud enough. He's just got the verb.
All right,
muffled.
now. Oh, it says he's loud enough. He's just got a lot of room reverb.
Muffled.
How's it sound now, though? Now that he's...
Hope it sounds better. Well, I'm coming through Skype and then through your deal, so maybe that's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look. Hey, here's the thing. Okay. Shit, hold on. Here, let's try this. Hold on. I'll try something here. Okay, so how's this sound? Can everybody hear me now? I'm right up on my microphone.
Well, see, now they're saying it's perfect.
Okay, well, good. It's perfect. Look, the thing about Bitcoin...
And Nathan's saying, hey, it's loud and clear. The guest is... Oh, Ernie's loud and clear. The guest is quiet. So, but it sounds, they don't know what they're talking about.
Here's the deal with Bitcoin. And I don't care if anybody in your chat room thinks I bought it $31.50. I really don't care. I don't care. They're not paying me a penny. They're not like on my payroll either. So right. I don't give a crap. I'm telling you, I bought it $31.50 because it looked like a buying opportunity. And I bought it $7,800. I sold it $7,800. Why? It looked like a selling opportunity. That's all I know. I don't know anything in between. Now, a lot of these Bitcoin, either haters or lovers, the trolls or the, what do you call them, the hodlers or whatever the stupid name they call themselves, whatever it is, those folks have an agenda. They have a show to promote and advertisers to promote, and I don't give a crap. So yeah, I bought it $31.50. I sold it at $7,800. I'm not in the trade now, and I don't give a crap. If you want to, get information from someone who just pounds the table to buy every day, go talk to Ranting Andy. Of course, Ranting Andy at 5,100 or so said that was the Hoffman line and dumped on all the Bitcoins. He was pounding people in all the way down from 19,000. So if that's the kind of advice you want from someone like that, go for it. Or if you want to listen to someone like Peter Schiff tell you never buy, just sit on the sidelines, do that too. Again, Ernie, I just don't give a shit.
I know. Well, my point is that I didn't tell anybody to short from the bottom. I just didn't. I said short every rally, and now we have a rally, and I think you should short it. Of course, now I'm evaluating it as a potential bubble pattern, because it looks like a bubble pattern, and it was an exponential move up.
Huh. See, I'll tell you what, man. I watched a video yesterday where MC Hammer is now behind Bitcoin.
Uh-oh. And
he loves Bitcoin, and I don't think we've seen the top on Bitcoin. I just don't think that, maybe...
Oh, I've never said that we've seen the top either, but I still maintain that the ecosystem and public awareness still isn't, or public interest, not awareness, interest, still isn't high enough, in participation, still isn't high enough for it to go much higher. It can be pushed up very easily because there's very little liquidity, and there's some big whales out there, and they're responsible 100% for this move up, because it wasn't like all of a sudden you had an influx of people from around the globe that all of a sudden simultaneously decided to jump into Bitcoin. For what reason? There was nothing out there, and there was no extra interest. It wasn't, and the added interest that has plopped onto the Google Trends happened after it moved up, not before.
Okay,
right?
Well,
so
I think everything you're saying is absolutely true, okay? But you're looking at something that moved down last week on a $35 million sell order, which is, by the way, not even one-third of the volume of the SLV ETF that happens on one day. I mean, do you realize how little money moves Bitcoin around? That's why it's just such a crapshoot, and that's why I just sit out until I see something that looks obvious. Because if these people who say that Bitcoin's a long-term deal or it's gonna change the way we do commerce and all that, talk to me if you can about MP3 players, or talk to me about not MP3 players, but CD players, DVDs, Blu-ray, Laserdisc. And there's always some amazing thing that comes out, and then a decade later, it's like, oh crap, we're not using that anymore. So if Bitcoin is the answer, maybe it's different this time. It'll have to be different this time. I mean, it's going to have to be different this time, and I just don't put my money in terms of the long term on things they got to be different this time. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. The power of the Bitcoin network comes in the network itself. That is where the stability, that's where the interest or that those network connections are what make it a more stable financial instrument.
Bitcoin? What, you're saying Bitcoin is stable because of the network? You're talking about the same network?
No, I'm saying the number of connections. And so right now, that number of connections is dramatically lower than it was, say, 2 years ago. And for that reason alone, it simply cannot achieve the same kind of, or the dream or the vision that people are hoping. That sort of stable coin or stable financial instrument. It's impossible. It is too illiquid right now. The network is too thin, is my point.
By the way, Teddy K just made a comment that's exactly right. Bitcoin diehards or blind bashers don't want to hear the details. If you want to short, just scale into your position. Betting your entire nut on any one price is a fool's game. Don't blame Ernie. Exactly. I mean, people need to listen. Everyone listening now needs to go to Google and search for splitting personality disorder. Then go to the WebMD page on the splitting personality disorder, and then read it and just figure out how close you are in terms of the definition of a splitting personality. Most, if not all, of the Bitcoiners and silver stackers and anything stackers I've ever met are splitters. It's always or never. If you like Bitcoin, you're on the side of the good guys. If you're not, you're in the league with the bankster.
No, that's what I was saying earlier. That either it's black or white. Either you're in the club, or you're the devil.
That's right. Or you're the devil. You're a horrible, horrible human. And what's amazing about Bitcoin too is how we've transmuted from the original vision, where people in the beginning, I know some of y'all are too young to remember Bitcoin way back in the 2010 time period, but Bitcoin used to be all about liberty, freedom, and breaking free of the banking system and all of that, and making money on Bitcoin. The anarcho-capitalist said that was part of the problem. This is a new paradigm, and somehow we've gone from that to ETFs and futures products and Wall Street bankers getting on board and Winklevoss twins raising a toast through their trillions of dollars in worthless fiat. Somehow we've moved to this idea of hodling, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Where are all the Bitcoin purists who told us it was anonymous for the little guy, that it was going to break the back of the bankers? Where are those people? Oh, I know where they are. They're all putting out newsletters now, pounding people into buy, because this time it's going to be different and you're going to get rich. It's just nuts, dude. I just can't believe the level of intellectual dishonesty that's happened with this Bitcoin thing.
I saw somebody on TV last night. I forgot who it was. It was the 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes. They did a piece on Bitcoin.
Right.
And they did a fairly balanced view of it. They weren't, but the whole point that it was up there was very, very timely.
Right.
Why were they putting Bitcoin up there now, just as it's starting to sort of bloom or mushroom, right?
Well, I can tell you this much about Bitcoin. Because there's no oversight, there's no regulation, which people are like, man, that's awesome, man. It's a Wild West. No, what it means is that you could have And I'm not. There's no way I'm arguing this is true, but you could have people that are executives at CBS going, you know what? If we can get a little action behind this, maybe the Bitcoin we bought at 3,500, we can sell at 10,000,
Oh,
and you would
there
never
was.
know.
Well, I'm going to take a more cynical and conspiratorial view and say that the people who are behind Bitcoin and the whales in particular, they have a lot of money. They've made a lot of money. There are multi-billionaires out there in coin, anyways. That can influence other people. They exist. There are people out there that have 10,000 coins or 100,000 coins. And they wield a lot of influence with that kind of money. And I'm telling you that if you were really studying this over the past couple of years, you would know who are the major media influencers in Bitcoin, who are the sycophants, who are the lapdogs, who are the shills. And it's obvious that Forbes is there, CNBC is there,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, yeah, and I don't know how much you and I have talked about this, but just consider this for a moment. All it would take to drive Bitcoin up is you could go out there on the bid and this has actually happened. I've seen evidence of this, where all of a sudden at the major exchanges, a bunch of bid orders go out, the price rises. Now think about this. There's no real buying action, but people start pulling the ask, and then others start chasing the ask. And you could get one or two orders at a certain price, but the volume is not exploding. We're not seeing some sort of tidal wave of volume coming in, but the bid prices keep rising, the ask keeps rising, and there comes a point when the guy goes, you know what? I've got $35 million in Bitcoin right here. Now I'm going to sell it off. I'm going to drop. And what they did for newbies out there, the reason Bitcoin dropped from 8,000 and change to 6,000 and change is because they literally hit a bid order that was probably down at 6,000, and they were very happy to clear out. Why? Because they were buying at 3,500. They were going to double their money on average, and they laughed at all the Bitcoiners out there. Yep. They are laughing at these people.
Yeah, and all of those people that soaked up that sell order are left holding the bag, while the pumpers are now the dumpers, and they're going back to the bank and cashing their check.
Yeah, DaVinci J15 was an early adopter of Bitcoin. And by the way, congratulations to DaVinci J15 for getting in, because he needed some way to somehow reverse the damage he did by piling people into silver all the way to 50 as it plummeted down to 13. So DaVinci J15, I tip my hat to the guy. He got into Bitcoin. That's fabulous. And he was getting into Bitcoin right as silver took the biggest dump it's taken in our generation. So I find it interesting when people bring up guys like that, like, well, he was really good on the Bitcoins, but yeah, well, what if I lost everything on silver? I mean, he actually recorded a video where he was crying and saying that if you were telling people not to buy silver, you were a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and by the way, I'm telling you, literally speaking, his buying of Bitcoin, even aside from his terrible advice on silver, was an amazingly good idea. Absolutely good idea. Multiple opportunities people would have had to have taken that advice.
But let's not mistake that for brilliance. Let's call it what it is. He's as much of a shill and an opportunist as anybody else.
Well, I mean, you can say shill, and a shill would assume he's getting paid. I don't know. I have no information.
No,
on that.
I don't know that either.
As far as being an opportunist, we're all opportunists.
Sure.
And I'm just saying that if we're going to give him credit on Bitcoin, I'm just saying that you have to look at the big scope of things and not get too wild-eyed about who you're following. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I heard DaVinci made a rage quit Bitcoin video in one of the earlier bear markets, but deleted it.
So what the first video I saw with DaVinci J15 was when he was getting out of Bitcoin, was when Bitcoin hit 250 on the way up. He sold his Bitcoin back then.
Yeah.
Now, I have no idea if he got back in, and he could have. I have zero information about that. I'm just, at 250, he was like, okay, this is good. I'm out. I'm taking money out of this, and I don't recommend you buy. Which, even if that was true, he still was getting people in from $3 all the way up. It's still an amazing story. But what I find fascinating about the Bitcoin billionaire is, I'm not a billionaire, but if I was a Bitcoin billionaire, like for shizzle, the last thing I would be doing is on YouTube pumping Bitcoin. I would have taken my billions and bought an island. So
Oh
anybody
no,
else,
no, there's just too much opportunity in this market. You have such a huge cultish like following out here that you can sit here and do minor pumps and dumps all day long. You can do that, every week. You can do another,
yeah,
pump it up a couple hundred points, dump it out. Now this
yeah.
one seems like a concerted effort. I mean, obviously this was concerted across the globe with a number of large whales. Well, as far as Da Vinci going to South America, the story is, and I don't know this for sure, but the story is that he ran out in a bad marriage.
Yeah, I mean, I hesitate to make personal comments about him because
Well, that's only because I know some people that know him.
okay, I don't know anything about him outside of the videos he's done. I have zero information about his personal life or why he's in South America. Here's what I do know, okay? What I do know is that Bitcoin as an unregulated deal, you are literally, not figuratively, literally buying something that server farms in North Korea may be profiting wildly from.
In China.
And China, and you have no idea what's going on with that. And if you're cool with that, and you're willing to take the risk, and you want to hold for the long term because you think it's going to work out, I just tip my hat to anybody that does that. I'm totally, legitimately, totally in support of anyone making that decision. And if Da Vinci J15 is a Bitcoin billionaire, congratulations. I mean, it's awesome. It's a great story. Fantastic. It's just not something that I could see for the long term as something I'd want to hold. I think the word speculative I think that's a little bit too generous. Mm-hmm. It's something worse than speculation.
Now, last night, as I said on 60 Minutes, there's an article here on CCM. Bitcoin searches rocket to 13-month high amid 60 Minutes hype. Now, there was a woman from, I think she's the secretary of some part of the Treasury or undersecretary of the Treasury or whatever. And she said in an interview, I think it was with Anderson Cooper, but I can't remember for sure, that there's no way in hell the U.S. government is going to let Bitcoin, now this isn't official, directly from the government, let Bitcoin rise and threaten the U.S. dollar.
Okay, it doesn't threaten the U.S. dollar. I swear, Ernie.
No. I look, I agree with you, but I'm just telling you that in the event that some people think that might happen, because that was the question to her,
right?
And she just said it flat out that it ain't going to happen, Captain.
Okay, look, hold on. This idea that Bitcoin is going to somehow replace the dollar. Listen, you let me know when Bitcoin, when the dollar is priced in Bitcoins. At the moment, it's Bitcoin priced in every other, quote, worthless fiat. And by the way, all these Bitcoin hodlers are looking to get out of Bitcoin into worthless fiat. Yes. It's hilarious. Yeah. They keep talking about Bitcoin as if it's gold 2.0, it's new money and all that, and yet they price it in dollars.
It's more valuable than gold.
When Bitcoin is priced, when the dollar is priced in Bitcoin. If you say, well, we price everything in dollars because that's the monetary base.
All right, so
okay, that's right, it is.
Trojan Hell's asking, can you explain about halvening and why the bulls are talking about it and if there is any merit? Well, halvening happens every, I think, I don't know how many years or however often it happens. But it's the reward that the miners get for producing so many Bitcoins. Right now, I think it's up around 12 or something like 12 and a half or 15. I forgot what it was. But on the next halvening, it is going to be half of that. And so the theory goes that because there's going to be fewer Bitcoins being put into circulation, as if they're being put into circulation by the miners. They don't put it into circulation. There's going to be a depletion or a reduced amount of Bitcoin in circulation, therefore causing price to go up, which is the most unbelievable assertion I've ever heard.
Okay, Chris Rock says, so I assume you guys don't agree with guys claiming Bitcoin will be between 80K and 100K in 2020 and 21. I make no assertion about that. Hey,
could.
Absolutely could. I don't think
it'll stay up there. I don't think it could possibly stay up there. But
absolutely. Bitcoin could go to 100,000.
It could go higher.
It could go higher than that. Now, what again? You have to separate the conversations. Is Bitcoin an investing vehicle, a speculation vehicle? Is it a Ponzi scheme where you can make money if you're an early adopter? Blah blah blah. I mean, is there a way to make worthless fiat dollars on Bitcoin? There are probably more ways to count that you can make money on Bitcoin. Okay, absolutely. Is Bitcoin going to replace the U.S. dollar? Not no, but hell to the no. That's not happening. There's zero chance of that happening. So if you think that you're going to be going down to Walmart and pulling out your Bitcoins and buying stuff, you're not going to. And no, by the way, Flexa and Coinbase, these are not ways to use Bitcoin at Walmart. Those are ways for Walmart to say, or any of these retailers to say, you know what? We don't want Bitcoin. We want the money. So if you want to, I don't care how you give us the money. It will take paper sacks full of shit if you can convert it into dollars before you buy that next BCR you buy here at Walmart.
Well, I tried to get the Flexa app, and you can't get it unless you have an invitation code. And I couldn't find any place to get an invitation code. You have to know somebody. So what good is that?
Yeah, you gotta. G. Rowe says, if I'm starting a new language that's to be superior to all language, I'm obviously going to translate it into English for integration purposes because that's the world language. Now, that is not the same thing. Bitcoin is priced in dollars. It's not translated into something. It's priced in dollars. You could now price Bitcoin in anything you wanted to. You could open an exchange called Bitcoin to McDonald's cheeseburgers, Bitcoin to real estate, Bitcoin to oil, Bitcoin to anything. They're pricing it in dollars the same way they've priced, everything is priced. Mainstream Wall Street prices things in dollars because dollars are the currency.
James Levinson is asking if which would you want to own more of, silver or Bitcoin? Well, right now, Bitcoin going up temporarily, and silver near a multi-year low, and possibly going lower. It seems like a no-brainer here that you got to be long silver and short Bitcoin.
I don't know about that. Like I'm not smart enough to know which one's going to make the move. I mean, I maybe you want to be long silver. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I would be more apt to buy silver than I would Bitcoin at this point right now.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if someone asked me which one's going to make a bigger move, I could make the case for either one of them or neither one of them. I just don't. I have no way of prognosticating that. I think that silver for the long term, over 100 years, always kind of it returns. And I think buying after 85% haircuts is probably a good idea. But which is a better investment right now? I have no idea.
No, the best investment right now is to sit back and watch what happens.
By the way, Trader Glenn says, he uses a French profanity phrase there, and he says Don knows a lot of things. I don't know almost anything. So I'm telling you, I don't know.
And as we get older and the years go by, we realize how little we actually do know.
Yeah, if you listen to what I say, what I'm telling you is the only thing I know about Bitcoin is it won't be different this time. And the only reason I know that is because nothing is ever different this time. Look, hold on. Bitcoin wasn't different this time. I mean, I was pounding the table on Bitcoin from the very beginning, but all the philosophical mumbo-jumbo, that was not true. It was never going to scare bankers. In fact, Blythe Masters of J.P. Morgan, the one supposedly manipulating silver, literally speaking, 5 years ago, got into Bitcoin. J.P. Morgan is coming out with the J.P. Morgan cryptocurrency. Goldman Sachs is doing it. I mean, these bankers, if you look at the CEO, Lawrence Summers, former Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers is on a board of directors of a Bitcoin company. So this idea that Bitcoins were the bane of the bankster and bankers were running scared was bullshit from the start, never true, and most likely bankers were behind Bitcoin. That's most likely that's how Bitcoin came into being. I know this much, even if that's not true, the bankers can go down to any exchange they want today and they can pump the prices up, they can drop the prices, they can mine them with server farms in warehouses that B-52s would fit in. They can do that all day long, and you can't do none of that, and your little piece of the pie has no relevance whatsoever. You're a flea on the back of a tick, on the back of an elephant, crossing the savannah, and you better hope the elephant doesn't fall over and sit on you.
Thank you for that image. You know, the whole idea about where it was created and who created it, you know, you start looking at this logically and you think, well, could somebody have created this in, you know, in their office somewhere and then just released it and it magically was just this wonderful code that just lived on for a long time. It's been remarkably stable. And nobody could find out about it, or could it have been created in the in a secret alcove of a bank or a cabal of banks, and then kept quiet without any leaks or any other type of investigatory work or anybody of any particular merit, and never be found out? I'm trying to think about, how do you keep something like this quiet? How do you keep the originators, the you know, the progenitors, the first people that were involved in this, without saying a darn thing?
What difference does that make? Because listen, I want to give you a little political talk about me. Remember when Obama was running for president, and there were people that said Obama was not born in America,
right?
And therefore he wasn't qualified to be a president. Now, I don't have any proof one way or the other. I know that he wrote a book in which he claimed to be born in Kenya.
Yep.
So, whatever. Maybe that's a typo. I don't know. But here's what I do know. Does it really matter to anyone that's an Obama supporter? Now, think about this. How many Obama supporters would really care if he was born in Africa? Would anyone really care? Nobody would care. So, when it comes to Bitcoin, the Bitcoin...
Well, particularly on the left, because they don't really seem
right.
to have a lot of value in the Constitution.
So Bitcoiner, the guy or the guy who was out there who bought the Bitcoin earlier, the Kool-Aid drinkers from early on, do you think any of those people really care where Bitcoin came from? They would only care insofar as this. If on day one they were called diamond dollars, and Jamie Dimon is the one that created them, he said, hey, we got this brand new thing called a cryptocurrency and it's a diamond dollar, people would have said it was from the devil. But however, if Jamie Dimon created it, then called it Bitcoin, and then behind the scenes gave it to a bunch of folks that play Dungeons and Dragons, I mean Magic the Gathering, and they began to trade it at a website called Magic the Gathering Online Exchange, I mean Mount Gox, well then all of a sudden it's money for the little guy. And in the end, if you came out today and said Jamie Dimon was behind it, people would say, are you ready for this? They'd go, well, that may be true, however, it is the wave of the future. And you go, what are you talking about? The wave of the future? Jamie Dimon created it. Yeah, but it's, Walmart takes it and I can make money on it, trading at all these exchanges. And yes, but Jamie Dimon's the one. And then you go, well, hold on, wait, stop. And you realize, you know what? This is like Silver Stacker when they found out that JP Morgan was the custodian of the silver ETF. Mm-hmm. And they had every reason to push silver prices higher. Even with that information, Silver Stacker was like, buy silver, crash JP Morgan. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. So where Bitcoin came from makes no difference at all. The people that are into Bitcoin, man, they don't care.
Well, whoever created it accomplished their goal, whatever that goal is, I think. I don't know that there was I don't know that anybody could have foresaw where it led to.
Oh, Ernie, G. Rose says the internet was definitely different from all the other times.
Huh?
How was the internet? YouTube was different. Facebook. In fact, they're not only are they not different, they are more controlled, and our speech, everything that we do is more censored and controlled and more into the thumb of smaller groups of people than ever. They're not different. They're the distillation of the similitude of everything that's ever come before them.
That's a great word.
And thank you very much. I appreciate it. In fact, now, the internet and all of these mechanisms have given the small group of people more control and more money for doing less than has ever happened in the history of the world, and every totalitarian leader in all of mankind's history could only have dreamed for platforms like this, where people will willingly put pictures of their kids and their family and tell you, I'm not at home right now, my house is completely open, I'm 700 miles away in Disneyland, look at me on this Magic Mountain ride, my house again is wide open if you know where I live. People, the Gestapo could have never have dreamed of something like this. It is no different. It is literally the definition of the same.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to rant there for a second. The internet's different this time, really? Okay.
No, it's just another opportunity for big corporations to get their grubby little fingers into every part of our life. Oh, it is different in a way. It is. There has been a sea change in terms of who is actually running the corporations, and it seems to have happened over the past 10 years, maybe 15 years, where ownership or control of the big corporations has shifted from a more semi-conservative mindset to an ultra-liberal mindset, and so. And I don't blame that on I'm not saying that that's conspiratorial. What I'm saying is that it is like almost in their best interest, because they're working again. They can't work against the media. If you're a big corporate titan, right? You can't go out there, and if you make, say, billions of dollars, there are two different types of billionaires. There's billionaires that are on the left and on the right. The billionaire on the right is going to get castigated by the media, and it will make it very difficult for them to do anything from a corporate standpoint. So they go to the path of least resistance and then adopt the leftist philosophy, which is, of course, the philosophy of the mainstream media, and then they are adorned, and they get great publicity, and nothing that they can do can go wrong. And that's and because of that, they seem to think that having their dirty little grubby little fingers into virtually everything that we do, and usurping. And did you know there was a poll out that is showing that an increasing majority of millennials are finding fault with the whole concept behind freedom of speech?
Yeah, and that's what happens when you have an entire generation of people infiltrated by communists and Marxists, and but hold on, I want to address a comment here someone made. You mind if I get back to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Someone says here that it's G. Rowe who says, let's see, scrolling down, different as in it won't quickly evaporate into nothingness, which was your example with MP3 players. Okay. I can name for you right now 10 or 20 internet companies that have come and gone. 20, 30, 100, it didn't matter. And the technology for the internet is even changing as we speak. Right now, the guy that created the internet, or one of the guys behind it, is coming out, he's working on Internet 3.0, which is supposedly...
Tim Berners-Lee.
That's right, Tim Berners-Lee, who's creating a new paradigm, a new internet that will get around all this censorship nonsense.
No one's going to pay a lick of attention to that at all.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
No, and the reason for the argument that I made just a little while ago, because unless it's in corporate America's interest, unless they can align with the mainstream media's narrative, they're not going to do shit.
Okay, hold on. Great point. That's what isn't changing. So if you think Bitcoin is something different, going to beat the banksters, you are smoking some sort of hallucinogenic drug. Go back and look at the Jeff Garzik interview from 2009 or 10 or 11, where Jeff Garzik, early Bitcoin developer, says the only way, and he even says this, he says Ron Paul supporters are going to hate this, but the only way Bitcoin will ever be mainstream adopted is with the long arm of government in the pie.
In the media.
He made it very, very clear. I did multiple videos on this topic. Go back and look for Jeff Garzik, Bitcoin developer. And so if you say to me things are different now, no, they're not. The technology may change, the control doesn't. And what difference? It's a difference without a distinction. Oh, great. So we have a new thing called money, except now they're not tracking everything at my bank. They're tracking everything literally in my wallet. And everywhere I go, everything I do, everything I spend money on, they can track where it came from, where it went.
Oh, I thought Bitcoin was supposed to be the anonymous money.
Yeah, okay, well...
It's actually exactly the opposite. It is the epitome of a controlled and audited currency.
Trojan Hell wrote a couple things here I'd like to comment on as well. Trojan Hell says, Ernie, the FBI and the CIA investigates cryptocurrencies. If bankers made you think the FBI, if bankers made it, you think the FBI would know. No one knows the origin of this tech. Ernie, where would why would someone believe the FBI and CIA aren't disinformation agents? Why would someone think the FBI would
That's
come
what
out
they do.
and
That is exactly what they're doing.
So if you tell me the FBI is investigating and the CIA...
Well, the CIA doesn't investigate.
Do these people know the history of...
The CIA doesn't
know the history
investigate.
of the FBI?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, so let me get this straight. So now, what is with this generation, Ernie, that is just totally like, the government's perfectly great, man. They're on the case. The government is on our side. They're going to look into it. You better believe if this was fishy, they'd get to the bottom of it. Where did this come from? Leftists, a generation ago, were skeptical. What is with these people today? Like, oh, if the government, if there was something here, that's like saying, listen, if you've got nothing to hide, citizen, well,
you would come clean.
Why don't you mind me tapping your phone?
Yeah.
Well,
just let me crawl right inside your pants.
Trojan Hell says, the fact you can transfer money with small fee under seconds without the need of banks will hurt banks.
No.
Ernie, tell me where this is happening.
No.
Where are you transferring money?
Because first of all, as Bitcoin price rises, so does the cost of running Bitcoin, and we saw that when it rose to 20,000. There was an impediment to it actually rising much higher than 20,000. This is one of the reasons why I think it's going to have a hard time going much higher, because the cost of transferring Bitcoin, even small amounts, rose dramatically. I mean, I remember the days when I was trying to transfer $100 and it would cost as much as $20 to transfer $100.
So someone, G. Rose says, here's the thing. Bitcoin doesn't have to beat the banks to be a success. It only needs to be worthy and widely used second option. G. Rose, let me, so that you can understand that we're actually in agreement. Bitcoin is not going away. Cryptocurrencies aren't going away. I totally agree. Oh, and they're successful, all right. Oh, they're going to be wildly successful. They're going to find a way to get every single person hooked up to a cashless society. Bitcoin floated out there as the test case. And absolutely, the bankers love it. They can't wait. And let me prove it to you. Wait until you're told you have to pay your mortgage with that Goldman Sachs coin.
So now I'm starting to believe that maybe the government is behind this, that they're throwing this out there as a test case. They're conditioning us. We're useful idiots in this big, grand experiment, starting to get used to the fact of working with digital money, magic money. And when the time comes, they will introduce their own coin, and then they'll make Bitcoin illegal. They can make Bitcoin illegal, you know. There's nothing stopping them from making it illegal.
Let me ask you a question. I want to...
They could shut down the protocol. They could shut down the servers. They could prevent anybody from mining it. They could, if they wanted to, make it illegal.
Everyone listening to me, if you are still of the opinion that Bitcoin is the bane of the bankster, that government's running scared, do two things. Go to Google and type in Larry Summers Bitcoin. And then after you look at that, then go to the Larry Summers Wikipedia page, where you will find he's an American economist, former vice president of development economics and chief economist of the World Bank, senior U.S. Treasury Department official through President Clinton's administration, ultimately Treasury Secretary, a former director of the National Economic Council for President Obama. Now, I got a question for you. If you think that Bitcoin is putting the fear of God into governments around the world, why in the world is Larry Summers, World Bank economist, in love with Bitcoins? Furthermore, look up Bitcoin Love Fest. Just type in Bitcoin Love Fest and go back to the Bitcoin Love Fest with the Senate and banking executives and the SEC and the Federal Reserve and all those folks, and look at how cheerful they were about Bitcoin. Read Bernanke's own comments, Ben Bernanke's comments about Bitcoin. If you continue to believe this nonsense story that it's going to replace the dollar, it may, but it's not going to replace the dollar at your benefit. It's going to replace the dollar at the benefit of the folks who already have too much control. But now, hey, but by the way, hodl, baby. Just hold on.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible for it to threaten the dollar at all. It'll never get to that point. The government will defend the dollar if they have to. I mean, I don't think that it's even an issue to worry about. If you wanted to break the Bitcoin network, it's not that hard.
Trader Glenn says that Larry Summers is a crackpot. Well, if he's a crackpot and he's in love with Bitcoin, what does that tell you?
Yeah, that's like saying that Trump is an idiot. He's a moron.
How about Vikram Pandit? Citibank CEO Vikram Pandit. As recently as 2014, digital currencies, spawning innovation. And by the way, he also joined the board of a Bitcoin company. Vikram Pandit.
Actually,
Citigroup.
G. Rowe is saying file sharing is illegal, Bitcoin is money sharing. That's not true. Actually, Bitcoin doesn't share anything. It is nothing more than a messaging platform.
Lord Almighty. I'll deal with that in a second. Look, Blythe Masters. If you don't know who Blythe Masters is, go look up Blythe Masters and silver. And look at the silver stacker hating Blythe Masters, and now look at Bitcoiner just apparently loving Blythe Masters. You have Blythe Masters from J.P. Morgan, Vikram Pandit of Citigroup, you've got Jamie Dimon now, Goldman Sachs, you've got Larry Summers. These are just 5 entrenched Wall Street banking, just venomous vipers that people are now going, yeah, man, they're on board. So what? And you've got the CME group bringing out Bitcoin futures. Now, wait a second. I thought you didn't need Bitcoin futures because you could just go buy Bitcoin on the open exchanges, and that's how the little guy was going to win. But now they're getting a 100-point spread on the exchanges, and Wall Street bankers are laughing at you. They are laughing. Bitcoin's way of the future. Bitcoin money to the little guy. Bitcoin's going to replace the fiat money system.
Well, there is a need for Bitcoin futures, in the same reason that there's a need for futures products in any kind of cash business in order to stabilize that business. You need some kind of mechanism. Now, where does that mechanism live? I mean, could it live outside of the CME? Or they've already tried to put it on the CBOE, but that failed. The CME right now, all the Bitcoin miners and the whales are using the CME Bitcoin futures product to protect themselves. You don't think that they're going balls to the walls naked with Bitcoin positions or investments in, GPUs and server farms that cost tens of millions of dollars, do you?
No, they're not doing it, but they want you to. They're not doing it, but they hope you. Without the rube and the mark on the other side of the trade. See, the margin on Bitcoin tells you all you need on these futures products, tells you all you need to know. See, they have the money. Watch this. Ernie, I just don't know how to explain this any more clear than this. A banker can snap his fingers and put $1 million into Bitcoin, long or short, just like that. With money, if they're a Federal Reserve Bank, that they didn't have the second before he snapped his fingers.
Yes. Just create a loan.
You can't do that. Okay, so if he wants to drive prices up or drive prices down with zero regulation and transparency, and he wants to do it in an offshore, account in Swaziland or whatever, he can do that. And you sitting around with your $100 in Bitcoin and your 50 cents in Litecoin, talking about going to $1 million of Bitcoin, you don't count. You're not beating them.
No, that's what's so funny, watching all of these Bitcoin so-called pundits and enthusiasts thinking that somehow they're involved in this move up, or in any way that they have anything to do with the movement of the price of Bitcoin. They have nothing to do with it. It is being 100% manipulated by the whales. The whales control 93% of the total value of Bitcoin. Think about that. There's approximately 1,000 people that control almost all the assets that are collectively held by something like 1.5 million people. All right.
I would like for G. Rowe to answer a question. He says value sharing. If you can convert it to other valuable stuff, it's money in that sense. Okay. Let me ask this question. G. Rowe, let's say that I have one Bitcoin, and I don't know what the price of Bitcoin is. I don't know what it's trading at right now. It doesn't matter. Let's say it's $8,000. So I would ask G. Rowe, if Bitcoin is valued in US dollars, and I give you I quote, give you my Bitcoin, and you give me $8,000, since Bitcoins are valued in dollars, who holds the value? Simple question. If it's valued in dollars and you give me $8,000 and I give you the Bitcoin, what do you have? Do you have value? Because you gave me what it's valued in, $8,000. So what do you have? You now have a quest for somebody else to give you more, and you better get at least $8,000 and 1 penny of value out of it. Else, you are a loser financially.
And depending on what country you're in or what exchange you go through, that value may be drastically different.
So this idea that Bitcoin is a storehouse of value, if that is the case, once again, if I give you the Bitcoin and you give me 8 G's, then you've given me what the value is. Now you better find somebody who gives you more value. Now, it is also true to say that this is basically true with anything you exchange. So if I give you an ounce of gold and you give me $1,300, I have the value of the ounce of gold in US dollars, and the same argument applies. Now, there's a difference. Ernie, here's the difference. We were told Bitcoin was different, and it is not different. It's the same. We were told Bitcoin was going to get us away from the chasing money, Wall Street.
Oh, but it's free from censorship. This is the stupidest argument I've ever heard. The fact they're claiming that nobody can stop you from spending your Bitcoin. But you know what? If I have dollars in my hand, nobody can stop me from spending that either. Nobody.
That's right. That's right. And this guy
and on top of that, I have more anonymity with my dollars than I do with Bitcoin. Nobody has to know or can know that I have that money in my hand.
Giro says I can give you euros, pounds, other cryptocurrency. Once more, Giro, there is nobody that I can think of who sees an intrinsic value in a Bitcoin and is exchanging intrinsic value for intrinsic value. They're simply making the same transaction argument with Bitcoin that they do for anything else. So when you say it's a storehouse of value or you're sharing value, if it's valued in euros and you give me euros, you've just said to me, you know what? I'd rather have that than the thing it's valued in.
Now, Trader Glenn made a very interesting point. He says Bitcoin is more a vehicle for people to transfer capital, especially people getting money out of China or out of Venezuela or other places. Or let's say out of the United States. Do you know that if you did that, if you transferred money out of the United States that way, you would fall under their I don't know what the law is, but there is a law against moving more than $10,000 without registering that. You would fall under that exact same law. And all other countries have the same law.
Yeah. G Rose says that just means we've decided in that moment it was worth 8K, like a car or anything else. G Rose, listen, I'm trying to make a point to you that Bitcoiners seems to not understand. Bitcoin is not different. The paradigm did not change. There was not some shift in the way people look at transferring things back and forth. It wasn't like all of a sudden people were like looking at Bitcoin as intrinsically valuable in and of itself. This doesn't change the fiat money system. People are still looking to exchange for, and everybody who buys Bitcoin, we can just dispense with the nonsense that is not a next greater full transaction. Right. Everybody that buys Bitcoin is trying to find a way to get someone else down the road to give them more. That's it. So all this talk about how it's different and it's a philosophical sea change, that is bullshit. It's not different. There's no difference in the sea change. It's just an easier way for people to be controlled, which, by the way, when they make it mandatory to use Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, all of this talk of how fantastic Bitcoin is for liberty is going to go by the wayside. And you know what they're going to do then, Ernie?
What's that?
Try to find something else. They'll float something else out there.
Well, we have Hedera Hashgraph has their stable coin called Carbon. Now, to me, that seems to make perfect sense because, they're all talking about the carbon tax, and maybe there's something with that name. In Nathan's point, he says 93 whales control the Bitcoin. I didn't say that. I said 93% of the value in Bitcoin or of Bitcoins are being controlled by a very small percentage of whales. About 1,000 of these people are controlling about 90 to 93% of it.
G. Rose says, when we get into intrinsic value, we have to talk about the real value of fiat, which is useless because it's all perception. In the end, functionality. Okay.
That's not necessarily true, right?
Wait, hold on. When he says we have to talk about the real value of fiat, hold on a second. Hold on. I'm simply saying to you, Bitcoin has not changed the paradigm or the mindset of anybody with respect to trying to earn some worthless fiat. It hasn't changed. Nobody's looking at Bitcoin except for a few people who go to Burning Man, which, by the way, I don't think Burning Man's a thing anymore. Maybe it is. But, you might have some Burning Man people out there saying, I'll take Bitcoin or Litecoin or Catcoin or Batcoin. I don't care about fiat dollars. No matter what the value is, I'll take it. That's fine. But for the 99% of everybody else on the entire planet, they're looking to get something for their Bitcoin. That's it. And that's not different. It's the same. It's radically the same. So how did it change the paradigm? It did not. It simply made it easier for control.
Well, look at merchants. They're offering to transact in Bitcoin and other cryptos, but I can guarantee you that they are not holding those cryptos once they transact. They are transferring it immediately because they wouldn't be able to sustain their business if they did that.
Here's the deal. Look. It's really sad for me to see people argue these points. It's why I don't do what you do. I could not come out here and have these discussions day after day.
Well, usually it isn't a discussion. I normally do not have a guest on here. I normally will get out here and rant and then yell at people. But here it's kind of a pseudo discussion with the people. But for the most part, we're not.
It's funny because what we're talking about now about Bitcoin. It's like Bitcoiner will say, well, you know what? Okay, all of these other facets of Bitcoin were proven untrue. All of these ideas, that was all smoke and mirrors and hocus pocus. And this over here, that was always a lie. But you know what? This thing over here is going to be different. Okay. It just doesn't stop.
And now we have people, parroting all the values of Bitcoin. It's valued in Satoshi. There were only 21 million. Actually, there's far less than 21 million. There were a lot that were destroyed and that will never be recovered. Almost working on 15%, I think, now.
These people that make this comment about the fact that there's only so many of them and that gives them value. Ernie, do any of these people know how to use a calculator? Because if you know how to use a calculator, you can figure out in a spreadsheet, you could figure out, or an abacus or counting beads, You can figure out the following scenario. When you have a limited supply of what we're going to call money, you end up with the people in the streets with nothing as the money continues to flow up the chain into the hands of the producers who then own the means of production and the money, and you have totalitarianism. This is not a pipe dream, it is reality. If you live in a world where you think the money supply being completely constrained and constricted by a hard number, if that's what you think you want, and anybody takes a cut out of a transaction, if even 0.1% of a transaction comes out and goes in the pocket of somebody else, and if the producers, the owners of the means of production, are getting paid for goods and services in what you're calling money, it is a mathematic certainty, not a possibility. It's a mathematic certainty that in the end, they own the money, they own the means of production, and they own your ass. So if you're so excited about this limited supply of money, you don't understand the history of money and the history of mankind.
No. Without it being at least slightly elastic, it will end up in that fate. It's just an eventuality. The people who have the most of the Bitcoin, they are slowly accumulating more and more and more. Every one of these pumps and dumps is an exercise in accumulating more. It's them, putting their arms wide and just grabbing more and then sucking it in. And then they just wait for a little while longer, and then they do another one of these pumps, and then they suck it in. And eventually, they're going to have it all.
I didn't mean to yell, just I got too close to my microphone. I think G. Rose is one of these kind of folks who it's just never an end. Bitcoin's great. So I'm going to tip my hat to G. Rose. Mathematics and all of humankind history and logic be damned, and the fact that bankers are in love with it, don't worry about that, look the other way. I mean, that's great. Bitcoin's the best. You're the man.
Well, All Eyes is trying to say that, trying to make the point that Bitcoin is valued in Satoshi, which is a totally made-up thing, not in USD. That's not true, because you can't buy anything with Satoshi. Well, let me just say this. There's a very, 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 very limited market of people that are willing to transact in Satoshi. For the most part, you can't do anything. You can't do jack shit with Satoshi. In order to live at all, in order to do anything, in order to survive, you need to transfer it to USD. So therefore, it is valued in USD.
It's not valued in Satoshis. It's numbered in Satoshis.
Right. Exactly.
Satoshis are a made-up construct anyway. I just swear to you, Ernie, my head is hurting, dude.
Well, we've gone over. I've gone 13 minutes over on this, and it's time to shut it down.
I mean, here's the thing. You can make money buying and selling Bitcoin as long as exchanges exist. You can make money buying and selling anything as long as you can buy or sell it. I have absolutely no problem with people buying and selling Bitcoin to make money. If you want to have a conversation of the philosophy of Bitcoin, that's fair enough, as long as you're willing to intellectually, honestly, look at the philosophy. And if you're going to convince me that bankers are afraid of it, then you have to explain why bankers have been on board since the beginning. There are two discussions to have, and this is where, the conversation always forks off. People will hear me say that all of the philosophic mumbo-jumbo is complete nonsense, and they go, he said Bitcoin's going nowhere. Let me be clear. Bitcoin are not going nowhere. Bitcoin are going to go into wallets around the world. It's a means of control. It's a means of tracking, and that's absolutely why it's going to happen.
There will always be a market for people to transact it for whatever nefarious or non-nefarious purposes that they have.
Yeah, G. Rose says, I disagree, it's not different and won't change money. Look, G. Rose, let's go backwards in time, shall we? We start off with Bitcoin. Now, before Bitcoin, there were other digital payment systems. I know that this is hard to believe and remember, but there were other digital payment systems. So all those digital payment systems came around because of the internet. But those digital payment systems were really offshoots of credit cards and debit cards, which were in the real world not digital, but constructs of payment that would be connected to a checking account or a credit card account. But those came around, credit cards, after people got tired of writing checks and standing in line at Woolworths or Penny's or the Piggly Wiggly writing a check. Well, checks came around as a way for bankers to say, well, instead of you carrying around a sack full of money, leave your money in our bank, and we'll do whatever we do with it. And you can just trust us to keep that money in our reserves, and you can write a check on top of that. But then money came around in the first place because bankers figured out a way that they can get you, instead of to use gold and silver, something with real intrinsic value, they could get you to take paper notes that are attached to gold and silver. But actually, I'm skipping a part. Gold and silver were removed as the backing of our money, and so first you had the removal of the gold and silver, but before that you had gold and silver notes. And before gold and silver notes, people actually were very comfortable using coin, gold and silver coin, as is written in the U.S. Constitution. So if you track this back, no G-Row, it is not different. It is simply an extension of that which has been in place since the founding of our nation. And before that, if you read the words of Thomas Jefferson, you'll understand that bankers are the problem and have been from the start, and fiat money is not the problem. Banker-issued fiat money is the problem. If you don't believe me, read Thomas Jefferson. It's not fiat money. It's arbitrary interest applied to fiat money, the creation of and the distribution of by bankers. That is the problem.
All right, there is a comment here about XRP and how it's going to be used for international remittance. And look, I have no problem with XRP being used as sort of a canonical tool, kind of a proxy for all currencies. That will be used interbank. That makes a lot of sense, but that doesn't give intrinsic value to the XRP token. It is nothing more than a token that represents a canonical value. So that
Ernie.
Am I using too big a word?
Nathan E. says bankers don't fear Bitcoin, but they know they can't beat it.
They know they can't beat it. They have all the control. They have all the people that are running mines right now. How do you think that they got the money or the land or anything, the power or anything that they're doing to run their mine? Through a banker.
Bankers don't want to beat the thing that they created. That's the first thing. The second thing is they don't need to beat Bitcoin. They just have to beat you. And you give a banker access to things for which you've got no control. I learned a long time ago not to try to make money off of people who have more money and more knowledge and more of both and access to both than I have. So the fact that you think that Bitcoin is going to beat bankers, that tells me that you don't understand the way the entire world, the history of this planet has worked since time immemorial, and you don't seem to understand that when Blythe Masters and Vikram Pandit and Larry Summers and Jamie Dimon and Lloyd Blankfein and all of those folks are on board with Bitcoin and the CME group, that it can't be something they're trying to beat. For God's sakes, they want you to use it. They want you because they're getting a piece of it. And anytime you see in the news, well, SEC is coming down hard on Bitcoin. You know what? Do you know, Ernie, that Wall Street has been trying to find a way around the SEC since the beginning? Do you understand that if bankers found a way to get around international borders and laws and still transfer funds, they would love that. I almost dropped the F-bomb. They would love it. So if you're telling me that bankers today are trying to beat Bitcoin, no, my friend, they want you to jump into cryptocurrencies, and Bitcoin might be the first, it might be the last, I don't know, but they want you because they can get a cut of every single transaction, and they can be on both sides of the trade. They can own it, they can mine it, they can manipulate it, and for Pete's sake, they're not trying to beat it.
Right, and it's interesting. They have the Lightning Network, which is supposed to solve a lot of the problems of Bitcoin, the slow transaction time, the cost, etc. And it was going to be this sort of what they call a side chain. In other words, it's not real Bitcoin. It's just sort of this pseudo Bitcoin that people can do all the things that Bitcoin can't do. But in order for it to work, it requires that every node put up some sort of collateral. Now, it's important, and the amount of collateral that you put up will determine how many other people that you can connect with. Now, to do transactions across a very large and expansive network, you need to have a lot of connections, and that means a lot of collateral. Now, nobody has a lot of collateral to donate to this network. There's only one possible solution to this, that there has to be these sort of collateral or liquidity hubs that get created on this network. Do you know what the other name for a liquidity hub is, Don?
A bank.
A bank.
Now, hold on. Let me make another point here. So, if you want to know where Bitcoin is different, it's not different, it's an extension of something. The beauty of Bitcoin is, and by the way, who I have a question for you. How many people, because people, well, it solves the double spend problem. How
Oh,
many people do
geez.
you know in your entire life ever said, damn it, Ernie,
The got
if
burnt by the double spend problem again.
once more that double spend thing? Nobody. Look, so
It's
if
a
you look,
it's a solution that no one was looking for. No one had the problem that they were looking for it.
thank goodness for this. So if you go back in time and you
Oh, by
think
the way,
about,
that's what happened during the .com bubble burst. There were
uh,
all these solutions out there that no one gave a shit about.
okay, so here we are today, and let me tell you how Bitcoin is different. It's different, and yet it's worse. Like this, we've been told that the beauty of Bitcoin is that anybody has access to all the transaction ledger. Now, I want to stop now and ask anyone listening who's a big Bitcoin proponent on terms of philosophy. How many times were you at the grocery store and you paid, and the guy before you bought some groceries, right? And you said, hold on a second, I, I want to find out where that dollar he bought that pack of gum came from. Wait, stop, everyone stop, hold on. And you stop the guy and say, listen, it's important to me that I know where you got that dollar. When did that ever happen? It never happened. And when were you at the grocery store and you bought something and you're like, listen, now as I leave and I pay you with this, I'm going to now leave you a way to come, and now that you know that I gave you this dollar, here's where you can find a list of all my other transactions. When has that ever happened? That's never happened. But I'll tell you who wants that. The government wants
Oh,
that.
sure.
Bankers want that. So why is it all of a sudden this glorious new fantastic paradigm shift that now I can look and see every transaction that's ever happened that came before me
Oh,
or
it's
come?
it's a dream.
Who wants this? Who are these supposed
The
libertarians?
people who want control.
Who are the supposed libertarians who wake up and go, damn it, I don't know where my neighbors are spending their money.
Well, they'll claim that, well, it's this decentralized network, and you've spread out everything amongst all these people that are individuals, but that's not true,
But how many
because
libertarians do you know?
the governance of the network is being centrally controlled. The miners and the whales and the developers are the central unit. They control everything.
And how many people that are libertarians that seem to love Bitcoin would listen to what you just said and listen to what I'm saying right now, and 20 years ago been like, listen, at our local Tea Party meeting, first on the agenda, how can we create a money system that tracks everything we spend our money on?
Not only is it anti-capitalist, but it is the epitome of communistic money.
How many people said, you know what, listen, guys, I want to make a donation to this political cause. Lord knows I want to give you a lot of my worthless fiat, but I refuse to give you any money unless you can track it, unless the government, if they can see the wallet I'm using, can find out that it was me and where it came from before me and where you spend it. Damn it, I refuse to be a Tea Party libertarian. I refuse to be a conservative. I refuse to be a lover of liberty until the government can track every place I spend my money.
Yeah,
And
I see everything converging now. I see the millennials moving towards socialism, and I see monetary systems being adopted, Bitcoin being adopted by millennials, which give them this ultimate socialistic control. It seems like a big plan. It seems like, to me,
listen,
a big picture plan.
Look, Ernie,
Maybe I'm going off the rails here a bit. But.
no, I want to thank you for inviting me to your Tea Party meeting. And I've been a libertarian for a long time, but I got to tell you, you guys are missing the mark. You see, this is 2008, and I've come up with a way with every transaction any of us do in this room to be connected in a way that the government can connect us all. Now listen, all the dollars in your pocket, here's what I want you to do. I want you to give me all of those dollars. I'm going to put them into this thing called Bitcoin. And then let's all come back to this meeting and let's all donate to this big political cause or whatever we're doing. And that way, I can see where you spent your money and you can see where I spent my money. And that's the beauty of this. We can all download these transactions and we'll all know where we're spending our money. Great idea. By the way, someone raised their hand. Oh, no, if I can do that, who else can do it? Oh, anybody can do it. If you have a big enough computer, you can do it. You can download every transaction. That's the beauty.
But imagine, but by giving up that anonymity, you're basically telling people how you're behaving. What if they don't agree with the way you're behaving?
Ernie,
Could they
Ernie,
prevent you from spending your money with somebody else?
Ernie, will you please look at the screen right now? G Rose says you're missing the large pro. The traceability of Bitcoin is a necessary aspect that allows the anonymity. What? Okay, I can't do it, Ernie. I'm right now. I'm having a very difficult time.
Traceability allows anonymity. That is like saying, well, because black is blue, red is also green.
I can't do it. The ledger is only useful for tracking. If you create the links for them to track you, it's up to you. No, it's not up to me. The reason that the ledger works is because that's the whole point. Oh, Ernie, you know what, man? What time is it? Is it time for my meds?
I don't understand. That is total nonsense. Traceability is the necessary aspect of anonymity.
The ledger is just transactions. There's no name.
You must know where it is in order to not know where it is.
Okay, you know, this is unbelievable. The ledger is just transactions. They're not.
What do you mean? What do you mean if you create links? You create links whether you like it or not.
Hold on. Stop. Ernie. How many times did anybody you ever know walk into a store and go, here's some money. Now listen, here's what I want you to do. I want you to connect my number, my wallet number. It doesn't have my name on it, but here's the wallet this came from. So anywhere I use this wallet, and now every time I spend dollars, you can build a profile of me. In fact, by the way, for those of you who don't know this, if you have a wallet and people track your spending, they can build a profile of the spending habits you've got, and they'll find out who you are if that's all they had. For example, if you're buying, cough syrup, and you're also buying shoes, and you're buying diapers, and they'll narrow down, let's see, this person's got a kid in diapers, and you've already given them more access to personal information just with that. In fact, it's why I don't use a card when I go to the grocery store, one of those discount cards where you swipe your card and they track everything you do. But who are the libertarians that were okay with this? Where are the libertarians who thought this was a good idea?
The so-called millennials who are embracing socialism.
Stop, Ernie, stop. Now we come to this. There's no lack of anonymity in Bitcoin. If you need knowledge of how to remain anonymous, I can help out, LOL. Look, dude, I was told in the beginning Bitcoin was anonymous to begin with. Wait a second, you mean now? If my grandma wants to use Bitcoin, she's got to find some black hat way of doing it. So now let me see. I've got to use Bitcoin, which I was told was anonymous to begin with. Now I'm told then it was told it was pseudo-anonymous, and now we know it's not anonymous at all.
Oh, something else that I found out, that even Monero, which is supposed to be an anonymous form of crypto, they found that they can also track transactions there.
Ernie, now look what these people are saying. Your phone already tracks all your activity. Ernie, I have been arguing against the tracking of smartphones since they existed.
Mm-hmm.
Who are these people who are like, well, you're tracked on your phone anyway. Who gives a fuck, man?
Well, even when we had landlines, they could track us if they wanted to.
Well, what I'm saying is, these people are actually okay with this, being tracked. They're comfortable with this. Unbelievable, dude. This is why I can't do this. The ledger tracks transactions on the blockchain. What part of tracking transactions do you not understand?
Yeah.
What part of tracking in the first place do you not understand?
Well, by mixing transactions and doing them with different wallets, you can achieve anonymity.
Do you want this? Why would you want this? Who in the world says this was what we needed? Oh, by the way, there's all of these wonderful facets, but by the way, as we leave the meeting, I want to remind you that everything you do with this will be tracked. Now, we can show you ways to hide it, but it's just a feature of this. Now we can hide it for you. We can make it secret, and we can find ways to make it anonymous for now. And who knows what will in the future? But we track everything.
Okay.
How many will be like this?
Yeah, so I got to answer this one. All I saying, seriously, I'm not sure that you got it right. I don't know any millennials that don't question government in their motives. Let's put it this way: that virtually not all millennials are into Bitcoin or don't question government. But virtually, at least in today's world, virtually, not all, but almost all people who are in Bitcoin are millennials. And virtually everybody that's coming out of our educational system, our colleges, our higher education system, millennials, by and far, over 75% are embracing socialism. So it is much larger than what you're talking about when you say the majority of millennials. The majority of millennials are embracing
That's right.
socialism, embracing doing away with freedom of speech, embracing government control, embracing all of these things.
By the way, this Giro guy says, this is what I mean by infinite account creation. If you buy crypto with cash, you are already pseudo-anonymous. Let me stop right there.
How do you do that? How do you buy it with cash? There's only one way. What's the conduit to buying it with cash?
Why do we have to come up with terms like pseudo-anonymous?
But really, what is the conduit when you're using cash to buy Bitcoin? Do you have to go through a broker?
Oh, God, dude.
Do you or do you not have to go through a broker? Unless you can find somebody.
Ernie, here's where we get down to the nut cutter. This Giro person says, if you desire full anonymity, which most don't. See, stop right there. Then let's reverse that. Who requires non-anonymous money? In other words, you're telling me most don't want to be anonymous? Well, who are the ones that want us not to be anonymous? Oh, let me see here. Bankers and the government. And this is okay with these people. They're like, listen, Bitcoin is fabulous. I know they track everything we're doing, but not everybody wants to be anonymous. Excuse me, the whole point of Bitcoin in the beginning was it was supposed to be anonymous. I can't do it.
Well,
Ernie.
all right.
Out.
You see what I am holding here?
I can't do it.
You see what I'm holding here?
I can't do it.
You see this?
These people are arguing that there's no need to be anonymous. There's no need to worry about being tracked. That's just part of what we do now. It's okay. And as long as you're okay with it, then Bitcoin's for you.
This is the only true anonymous money right here. Coins.
Yep.
Even dollars aren't completely anonymous. They have serial numbers on it. Coins do not. As a matter of fact, coins, did you know that coins are not fiat?
I give up, dude.
Did you know that?
You know what? I give up on this. Coins are not clad coins are.
Right.
Clad coins. I give up, dude. I now am slinking back. I'm never doing this on your show again. I can't do it. I could not sit here and read this stuff and realize I was banging my head against the wall with people that are like, well, listen, you can be pseudo-anonymous. And most people don't.
You can be a pseudo-person.
Most people don't want to be anonymous anyway. What the hell? They're tracking your phone. Why do we care? Blah. That's like when the Nazis said, hey, listen, if you got nothing to hide, then
Sharish says you can learn to live with surveillance.
What? If everyone's
learn to be a slave, Don. Just get used to it.
Learn to live within surveillance? Oh, here's one. That's where we're going. You can't stop it? Wow, dude.
Yeah, this is sad.
Dude, I swear to you. True story. I've told my kids, don't
read
worry
the Constitution.
I've told my kids, don't worry about having kids, man. This is sad. I mean, really sad.
They're giving in. This generation is giving in.
I can't believe this. People actively saying, live within surveillance. Other people saying, not everybody wants to be anonymous. Let me ask you, okay, geniuses, let me ask you this. The ledger is the necessary trade-off component that allows it to be a trustless system without... Who in the hell ever said they wanted a trustless system without intermediaries? What are you talking about? Who said this? Let me tell you something. Check this out.
Well, it's another solution looking for a problem.
Ernie, I'm going to leave you with this. I can't do this anymore. I can't. I got to go back to making worthless fiat. Look, here's the thing. Can you imagine Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin sitting around going, all right, guys, we need to raise some funds here, all right? So the way we're going to raise some funds is, Ben, get out a piece of paper, all right? And the first person to put some worthless fiat in the pot here, want you to write a number that represents them here. And then the next person, we'll just make a list of all the people coming up with funds. And I want you now to take this list, quote, our names aren't attached to it, so we're perfectly cool. I want you to go out now in the town square and hammer that shit right there on the post in the middle of the town square. You know the post that they normally hang people from? Let's go ahead and hang one on all four sides of that post so everybody can get a copy of it. And every time we make a transaction, we'll do the same thing. So any money we're going to put into this thing called a revolution, we're going to make sure everybody, and someone goes, wait, Tom, hold on. Do the British have a copy of this? Well, yeah, the British are going to copy of it, but remember, we're pseudo-anonymous. We're not totally really anonymous. We're just pseudo. And if you want to know how to be really anonymous, meet me at the Light Tower tomorrow at midnight. I can show you how to be totally anonymous, but for now, just tack this shit up all around town. In fact, what I want you to do is I want you to go door to door and extol the virtues of this system and make sure everyone's got a copy of everybody else's transactions, including ours. We'll call this the Genesis transaction. Can you imagine Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin signing off on that shit?
No. Well, people these days now want to discredit and basically shun the name of Thomas Jefferson.
Fact is, crypto is the only way you can achieve anonymity in the digital realm. What are you talking about?
No. It's just living in a dream world. This kind of just totally drank the Kool-Aid. Totally.
Sam says, never said I didn't care about phone surveillance. Just be aware that Siri listens to everything. Ernie, we live in a world. I haven't done this in so long. I didn't realize where we were philosophically. These people are like, well, Siri's listening anyway. I'm just telling you to be quiet. What?
Yeah, it's sad.
What are we talking about? Crypto Bacon, you're painting the future with a broad brush? No, I'm not painting.
That's why.
Crypto Bacon is. Hold on, Ernie. You and I can remember a day before cameras were in Walmarts. And this generation of people now, if you're under 40, you are increasingly totally numb to the fact that everywhere you go, you're watched. It is shocking to me.
Well, there are almost as many cameras in the United States as there are people out in public.
And by the way, we also live in a generation where people are like, that guy's saying something I don't like. I'm going to get a camera and film him.
My feelings were hurt. I'm going to sue him. That's where we're at. I think I lost Don.
I'm still here.
Oh, all right. Well, look, this has gone on way too far. Way too long.
Let me add one last thing real quick.
All right.
Can you imagine anybody who ever wanted a surveillance state recognizing that you and I would be out here saying what we're saying and have people giving us blowback that are comfortable with this? That is what shocks me. It's not that the powers that be want it. It's that the people around are like, listen, I don't just want to drink the Kool-Aid. I want to mainline the Kool-Aid.
Yes.
I want to take a bath in it. I want to water my lawn in it. And I want you to explain to me why you don't like it. Because it's coming. Dude, what?
Yeah, well, they're okay with giving up their speech, their freedom, everything.
Look at this. Sharice Sarkar says, you can say I've drank the Kool-Aid, but I'm broken in debt. I don't have financial freedom yet. I am aware things are messed up, but I'm not going to complain. Well, okay.
Well, do something about it.
How else can I fully anonymously send $100 to Pakistan or Brazil if I want without crypto? Jiro, I don't know how to tell you this, brother. You're not anonymous with cryptocurrency. And I have no idea under what circumstances you buy that. But do what you gotta do, brother. Do what you gotta do. I'll tell you what, I'll get back with you on that question when you get back with me on why Larry Summers, Vikram Pandit, Blythe Masters, J.P. Morgan, the Senate, the SEC, all those folks have been involved with Bitcoin for the last decade. Get back with me on that and then tell me about how this is money for the little guy.
Well, man, thank you very much for joining the show. It really is time.
I
mean,
look.
look. You need to sort of regather a sense of stability here for the day. Get back to work, because we can't have you go back to work in this kind of mindset.
I can't do it, man. I can't do it. I can never come back here.
No, I'm not asking you to come back here. I want you to go back to work and work on our business.
Now I can't do this anymore because I would literally be banging my head against the wall, and I would, can you make money with Bitcoin? Sure, you can make money with Bitcoin. Yeah. By the way, Crypto Bacon, what's your great plan? How are you going to stop it? Those questions, that is the beginning of knowledge right there. I don't know what the answer is. I just know what the answer is not. Have fun.
See you guys. Now it takes me a little while to stop. I'm out of here. Bye.